weeds long dead. Winter's chill had settled in the bone. Another name unsaid. A silent statue, blind and made of stone. But thawing ground gives way to sleeping roots. A whispered tip, a forgotten clue. Dusting off the long forgotten suits, a single thread to pull the story through. The spring equinox brings the scales to bear. Justice marches, truth takes to the air. From frozen silence, a triumphant sound. The verdict's written on the waking ground. The witness stand, a garden newly tilled. Each memory a seed now forced to grow. The web of lies so carefully distilled begins to fray, the hidden colors show. The spring equinox brings the scales to bear. Justice marches, truth takes to the air. From frozen silence, a triumphant sound. The verdict's written on the waking ground. The blindfold lifts, the sword is raised, no shadow left, the price is paid. The verdict's written on the waking ground. Justice marches, justice marches. Renewal comes with the turning tide. And in the spring, there's nowhere left to hide.
Good morning, every single one of you beautiful people out there. Boy, I am happy to be on the recovery mend. It has been a long journey. Sorry, I had to shut my door to my office. And I'll tell you, I hope that everyone is in good spirits today, in good health today. And if not, I pray every cell comes into an alignment with wellness in your body. Receive it and get on in here. Hit the thumbs up. You know, I'm your host, Phoenix, and this is Phoenix Talks. And here, our community shows up, obviously, for one reason, and that's to try to find the truth. And even though we're challenging the narratives, we're also challenging the narrative that people are putting out there. We demand clarity. We're never going to stop asking questions about the Idaho 4 case because it is ingrained in our psyches that this does not make sense. If you all agree, throw a 1 down, because I want to thank you for being here, for being part of this mission with me. And, you know, I always want to stay curious, but stay grounded. Logic is so important. And sometimes I get it wrong, and it's okay. But one question that is really just, I guess, a statement that has stuck out in my mind has been, there is no way. There is no way possible now, after we've seen a lot. I mean, we probably have seen, in my humble opinion, 25% of the records, the evidence, the reports. There is so much more behind the Idaho 4 case. I think you all agree with me by now on this. There's no way, in my logical mind, that Brian Kohberger is guilty. Like Anne said, he was factually innocent of this crime. You know, I still have maybe a 1% in the back of my mind. If he did this, he was Houdini. How did he do this? Why did he do this? And what evidence do they have on him that he actually did this? And we've still not seen anything. So until someone puts out 100% that he did this or he confesses, then yeah. Now, I haven't heard the hearing, the reading. I know there's another case that I've been following in Les and Caleb. So can anybody tell me, did they just announce at 1:30, did they release that? Was she found innocent? Did the judge release her from that? Let me know. And I want to welcome every single one of you here. Do me a favor, drop down, swipe down, hit the thumbs up, come back in. You haven't missed anything. Factually and physically innocent. That is freaking amazing. And this, not guilty. And this is why, in fact, I mean, we could have had a jury trial in our case, but we chose to go before the judge only because I still have faith that there are good judges out there to see the truth based on facts and evidence. So that is a fireball on her behalf. Thank goodness that they have found her not guilty. And prosecutors need to, you know, it's the presumption of innocence and due process, right? Due process. And I'm going to tell you, this stream is going to open your eyes. I always talk about tech in some way because I came from the tech industry. I always try to talk about some, you know, some portion. Verdict has been pushed to 2 p.m. I saw. Okay, so the verdict. Well, a lot of people were reporting that at 1:30 they were going to announce it, but let me see. And I never take anyone's word for it. I always try to look on my own. Live court reaches a verdict in trial, ex-police. Here we go. Let's see what it says. I know they did closing statements. What did y'all think about her ex-fiance? I'm curious to see what you thought about that if you were following that case. Very interesting, to say the least. Very, very interesting. Not guilty. So here's the live update. I'll share this with you. Found not guilty. All right. Awesome. Here it is. Not guilty. Whoop, whoop. All right. Not guilty. She is a free woman. Let's see if that'll pull up there. All right. Oh, there it is. Kelsey Fitzsimmons found not guilty. All right. So let me see. Everyone accounted and present for. I love this. I love it. I have got such a great question for you guys today. There is no way. We're going to get into the Elantra, and we're not going to show any videos of suspect vehicle number 1 or anything like that. We're going to get into the actuality of the control panel on the Ultima and other cars in the Idaho 4 case. There is so much crazy shenanigans. I should say many. So many crazy shenanigans that we have to question ourselves. What in the heck happened in the Idaho 4? Okay, I've got some great videos keyed up, and I want to get into this because has anybody talked about why the FBI wanted the victim's EDR? At first, we have to talk about, okay, what is an EDR? All right, if you don't know what an EDR is, I want you to journey on with me on this field trip, and we are going to learn a little bit about technology out there. There's quite a few videos that I'm going to share, but this explains a lot what I was questioning in the Idaho 4. Let's watch.
Black boxes in cars, EDR, event data recorder. 5 seconds before an event, all the way through an event. It tells how fast you were going, when you stepped on the brake and you stepped on the accelerator. Did the airbags deploy? Didn't they? Why didn't they? And even if you had your seatbelt on.
All right, that was a quick overview of an EDR. Now, why do you think, in your humble opinion, why did the FBI need the EDR? Now, what am I talking about specifically? I'm talking about, they obviously had the Elantra in evidence. But why did they need, now, here's the big kicker. Why did they need to remove victims of a stabbing's EDR? The center stack contains an ECU or an EDR, an emergency data recorder. And typically, yes, folks, they removed Ethan Chapin's Ford Explorer and Maddie Mogan's Chevy Cruze. And that was on 11/30. And the day before, they actually got the ECM modules from the Jeep that was obviously Ethan Chapin's. They were both registered in JC. And then they got the ECM for the Ford Explorer and the Chevy. So why did they need this from Maddie and Ethan? Here we go again with Maddie and Ethan, guys. Why are those two families so dead bent set on not releasing any more crime scene photos? Okay. Why would they? And remember, allegedly, Nunez saw Kaylee in a different room. Okay. Typically, the control panels, they record crash data. Why would the FBI want to have crash data in two victims that were stabbed? Establish timelines, right? Establish the timelines. See maybe if these cars were moved before the wreck, exactly where they drove earlier that night, where they parked somewhere specific. Did somebody move the cars? Did it make a sudden stop? It's about building a timeline, not just the suspect, right? For the victims too. An EDR might show that when a car was last in motion, if there was any sudden braking, any sudden activity, this will help answer when this car was last actively being driven. Now, does that make sense at all in the Idaho 4 case? This is a center stack. This is what they removed from Maddie and Ethan's car, and only Maddie and Ethan's car. Okay? That's it. That is it. Now, when you think about this, let's get into a little bit more about what an EDR is. Okay? Let's look and dig a little bit further. There are several videos out there that explain it. I've picked the easiest, most explainable, and I've put them on closed caption and a little bit faster speed to get through these videos fast.
Use of EDR data has become an indispensable tool to investigate traffic accidents, expose insurance fraud, and investigate auto claims. In this video, we'll explain what an EDR is. We'll talk about the types of data or data elements that are typically captured in event data recorders. We'll talk about the tools and methods used to retrieve EDR data. And finally, we'll discuss how EDR data is used and who uses it. EDR stands for Event Data Recorder. EDRs are part of a vehicle's airbag computer that's installed in a vehicle during the assembly process.
All right.
EDRs are sometimes referred to as the black box of an automobile. The airbag computer's main purpose is to tell the car exactly when to deploy an airbag when a crash occurs. To do that, the airbag computer needs to gather lots of information about what the vehicle is doing in real time. Things like vehicle speed, brake status, etc. Much of that information is recorded to the EDR when a crash occurs. EDRs do not constantly record data. An event, typically the result of a crash, must occur to trigger the EDR to record data. There are two types of events that will cause this to happen: a deployment event and a non-deployment event. A deployment event occurs when a safety system in a vehicle is deployed, the most common of which is an airbag. A non-deployment event occurs when a vehicle experiences a very sudden speed change, most typically from a crash, that meets a trigger threshold that is less than the trigger threshold required to deploy an airbag. The most commonly used types of data contained in an EDR include delta V. Delta V represents the speed change that a vehicle experienced during the crash. This can be used to determine the severity of the impact. In addition, most EDRs record at least 5 seconds of pre-crash data. Pre-crash data is exactly that, pre-crash. Pre-crash data elements include things such as vehicle speed. So how fast was the vehicle traveling 5 seconds before impact, 4 seconds before, and so on. Other pre-crash data elements include throttle position, steering input, seatbelt status, occupant detection, and more. Auto manufacturers are not limited to the amount and types of data that are made available. Many existing systems contain other useful data elements beyond what was just mentioned. As vehicle technology continues to advance, more and more data elements are being added to EDRs. Things such as video images, geolocation, and others, although not widely available today, may be integrated into future EDR systems. Known as EDR tools, specialized software and hardware are needed to access and download EDR data from a vehicle. The Bosch CDR tool is used to retrieve EDR data from cars made by the majority of auto manufacturers. Over 50 brands of vehicles are supported by the Bosch CDR tool. Hyundai, Kia, and Tesla have their own EDR tools to retrieve EDR data from their vehicles. Using these tools, there are 2 methods used to retrieve the data. EDR data can be downloaded by connecting to a vehicle's OBD port, which is the same connector mechanics use to access trouble codes and perform smog checks. For severely damaged vehicles, EDR data can be downloaded by connecting directly to the airbag computer using a corresponding connection cable. The retrieved data is the same regardless of which method is used. Law enforcement and private accident reconstructionists use EDR data as part of their accident investigations and reconstructions. Things such as vehicle speed, delta V, steering input, and brake status can be used with other accident investigation methodologies to paint an accurate picture of how a traffic collision occurred. Insurance companies use EDR data to expose insurance fraud and determine liability in auto insurance claims. EDR data provides valuable evidence in hit while unattended claims, who hit whom first claims, occupant detection, i.e. jumping claims, and many more. It is also used to determine the potential for bodily injury based on impact severity. You can find videos that go into more detail on these types of claims on the Crash Data Group YouTube channel. The auto manufacturers themselves, as well as independent vehicle safety researchers, use EDR data and these same EDR tools as part of their safety engineering and research. For more information on EDR retrieval tools and how using EDR data can benefit you and your organization, visit crashdatagroup.com or call us at 800-280-7940.
Okay, shout out to crashdatagroup.com for that little explanation that was very precise. Now, when you look at the reasoning, if you want to say reasoning, in my humble opinion, why Blaker on the 29th, just the day before, was assigned. Holy moly. Hold on, guys. We just had a huge explosion. Hold on. What was that? What the hell was that? Oh my gosh, guys. Okay, y'all know that I live near a base, and I think that was the sound barrier. I think it was. That was sound like a sonic boom to me. Holy moly, did you guys hear that at all? Did anybody in the local Arizona, California? Woo! I'll tell you. You heard it, Nomadic Duckman. Lulu Bell, Aurora. I was thinking Aurora too. Wow. That was freaking wild. I've never heard that loud sound as before. That was crazy. They just said a meteor exploded over Cincinnati. Yeah, I talked to you. There's a lot of people freaked out right now online. So They announced it yesterday during the Senate hearing. Sonic booms. That freaked you out. Okay, you didn't hear it in Bakersfield. Did anybody else hear it across the country? Whew, woke me up. Yeah, I ran outside. My husband said it sounded like a sonic boom. He was outside. Said it sounded like a sonic boom. No, it didn't sound like a sonic boom to me. And you guys know that I was in Diego Garcia during Desert Shield, Desert Storm Florida deployed. That did not sound like the sonic barrier to me. Another meteor. Let me see what it says on, shoot. That is wild, guys. We live in crazy times, I'm telling you. If you are not right now, I'm just going to say, Lord, protect every single one of you on this live stream. I'm just telling you. Amen. Amen. Amen, Caleb. I'll tell you, all service members in this war, in this country, and whew, woke me up. There's a meteor. Yeah, we saw something fly over Arizona into California the other day. I talked about it yesterday on the stream. It is absolutely wild. Wild. Yep. All right. All right. I hope everyone is safe. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of people post about a sonic boom. I haven't seen much of the meteor. I don't know. You know, guys, just because individuals, and remember, social media is a form of media. Just because people are posting about meteors and then the government says that we're doing this and that, and, you know, you could go and break the sonic boom, right? I mean, we've heard about this before. The sonic boom doesn't mean much if the government is the one breaking the boom, right? I'm being plain devil's advocate here, okay? All right. Uh, the aliens, you know how I feel about aliens, guys. All right. But why? Let's get back into the stream. I hope and pray everybody is safe. There's meteors all over. We've seen 2 last night, 1 the 3 nights ago, and I mean, I talked a little bit about it, but let's move forward. Now, why in the world would they want to pull only Maddie and only Ethan's electronic data? Why does the FBI even need that? Was there a crash involved? Well, I'm going to share something for you and me. She is a cybersecurity expert. Now, remember, if you guys have been following, now I don't have drone videos. I have, and I said this yesterday, I have aliens landed. Ink Mama. Let them come. I've got something to tell them. All right. There's no Independence Day here, guys. I don't have drone videos. What I said that I had is a picture, a video and pictures of a huge, and I mean huge. If you've ever seen an Osprey escort an airplane, this plane, this huge, I don't even know what you want to call it. I say it's an Enterprise looking, just huge. And I mean huge airplane-ish. Imagine 6 Ospreys flying around a huge aircraft in the sky, and they look like little birds. The Ospreys look like birds compared to this massive flying machine. Okay? Just imagine, if you don't know what an Osprey is, go look it up. They're little helicopters that their propellers go kind of sideways, vertical, all these things. And they are escorts, basically. Now, imagine that, and imagine something like that coming out of the sky at night, and you have no idea that the government or the Air Force or whatever has this airplane, and Lulu Bell mentioned it in here because I said the name once before. I'm going to put it up on the screen. I'm not going to say the name, but this exists. I've seen stealth jets. I was just at the Rose Bowl January 1st of this year, and I've seen a stealth jet. It was not a stealth jet. Okay, those are pretty badass, by the way. Now, Lulu Bell did mention it. I've said it before, and it is a massive, and I mean massive, huge machine. Massive, okay? And that is the name of it. You guys can go look it up. It's huge. All right. So that's what I have, and I will find that video. It's on one of my SD cards. I'll find it and I'll throw it up here for you. Okay. If you just jumped in here, you're probably wondering, what the heck is she talking about? All right. Now, I want to get back into here, all this. I'm reading your comments and I'm just having to laugh. I'm just having to laugh because, you know, I'm ex-military. I've seen a lot in my short lifetime. And yeah, when the stealth flies over the Rose Bowl, it's insane. Yeah, it's crazy. All right. So, and, you know, I can go on any base if I wanted to go check out some things. And we've been very fortunate to go and look at some of the new equipment, some of the new jets. I mean, just amazing pieces of work. But let's get back into this. So why would they need Maddie and Ethan's? Because that's all they took. They didn't ask for anyone else's center stack. They didn't ask for Xana's. They did not ask for Kaylee's. They did not go out and pull. Now, here's the document from Blaker. Blaker specifically says that I was told to pull. Where did I put it? Hold on. I was told to pull. Let me see if this will work. 5. I was tasked with pulling 5. Only 5. Okay. And they only list the Chevy Cruze, which was Maddie's, the Ford Explorer, the Jeep Wrangler. But it does say that they removed Ethan's and Maddie's. Okay. Ethan and Maddie's. And they took it into possession and they sent it to the FBI in Salt Lake City where they could retrieve the data. Okay. And it popped into my head. There's other things in this case that did not make sense. And when they talked about the extortion in this possible case, they wanted a warrant to mention anything of extortion. And yes, both of these Fords have center stacks that have the EDR. So does Chevy. Okay, it's all out there. You can go and look. But there was no report in here on the other 3 vehicles. There was no reports. Only those 2. Okay, so they got the Jeep Wrangler, the Chevy, and the Ford Explorer, 3. Now, this was very interesting when I started to read a little bit more into what happened that day, and they observed all those vehicles sitting there. The silver Range Rover, the Honda Civic, Chevy Cruze, and obviously it was registered to Maddie's mother. And the Honda Civic was registered to Xana's father. And the 2 Chapin cars were registered to JC, Chapin's dad. Now, I'm going to take off this little banner real quick so you can see the rest of this statement that was made. I was originally assigned to identify all of the people in the area. Okay. However, I was reassigned by Sergeant Gunderson to begin the search warrant application process. And that was Noons that was on scene, and he observed the vehicles in the front yard. Now, I'm going to go back to this cybersecurity expert, and I want to listen. I'm going to fast forward this. She's going to talk fast. The closed captions are on, and I want us to all listen to what she has to say because this is very important. It's huge in tech. Okay, you probably already know this, but in case you don't, this is important.
Your car isn't a machine. It's a confession booth on wheels, and it doesn't even need you to speak. Think about it. You never sat down and told your vehicle where you go on Sundays, who you call on the drive home, or how many times you slam on the brakes after speeding through yellow. But it knows. Now, the scariest part is, and it doesn't just know, it's recording. When exactly did we agree to drive government informants? When did the open road turn into a network of surveillance terminals? In this video, we're peeling back the average smart car, from crash reporters and phone moving dashboards to cabin cameras and kill switches. You're going to learn who your car's been whispering to, why it's happening, and how to reclaim some control. After 15 years in cybersecurity, I found no device more invasive than the modern car. Back when I still thought Elon might be a misunderstood genius and not, what he actually is, I bought a Tesla, and I loved it. The interface was slick, the autonomy was magic, and the acceleration made me feel like I was in a Bond movie until the reality slapped me in the face. First, the car knew my location every second. Okay, cool, GPS. Everything has GPS, that's fine. Then I realized it logged what songs I played, how fast I drove, and how often I ignored its chirpy autopilot nags. Still kind of creepy, but tolerable at that point. Then came the camera, not the ones facing outside of the car, the ones inside the cabin, staring straight at my face. I thought those cameras didn't work and were waiting for the autonomous taxi services. I found out later that Tesla employees could see the footage. Some of them even shared private videos internally for laughs. They'd share garage clips, people tripping, and one poor dude walking up to his car naked. Reuters reported on this. That was my wake-up call. I hadn't bought a car. I had invited a data harvesting machine into my daily life and gave it keys. But it's not just high-tech Teslas. Today, almost every modern car, from a Honda Civic to a Ford F-150, is tracking, storing, and sharing way more than you think. And most people have no idea that it's even happening. What you think is just a Bluetooth connection or an innocent navigation sync is actually a permanent digital imprint of call logs, contacts, destinations, and even photos. They're stored and sometimes never deleted, often not encrypted. If this sounds like surveillance creep, it's because that's exactly what it is. And we're just getting started. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Your car is less of a vehicle and more of a rolling surveillance tower. You just so happen to sit inside. We're talking sensor saturation at a level that would make your phone blush. Most people think their car might have a GPS or Bluetooth, but the modern vehicle, especially post 2018, is a full stack data harvester packed with microphones, cameras, accelerometers, biometric scanners, and more into than a cell tower. Let's unpack the tech that's quietly watching, listening, and logging you. First, we have event data recorders. These are the black box that never stops. Almost every car sold in the US after 2014 and across the EU after 2022 has one of these. It's marketed as a crash reporter, but these black boxes capture speed, brake force, steering angle, seatbelt usage, and whether you were flooring it before impact. It's a 30-second time machine around any crash, 20 seconds before and 10 seconds after, constantly overwritten unless something triggers it. It's useful for investigation, sure, but here's the problem. They're always on and recording, and you don't opt in or ever get notified that this is happening. It's just logging you. Then there's the telematics units. These are the 4G narcs built into your dashboard. These aren't optional anymore. If you've got a car with a subscription service like OnStar, Toyota Connected, or Ford Sync, you've got a telematics unit, which is a dedicated modem broadcasting everything from your GPS coordinates to throttle position in real time. We're talking trip link, engine diagnostics, biometric seat sensors, cabin cameras, and often driver fatigue detection. Some even include facial recognition to personalize the experience. The Surveillance Tech Oversight Project found that cars transmit hundreds of data points per second back to manufacturers and their partners, all while you're just trying to go get tacos. And they don't ask or need to. You agreed to this in the 117-page terms of service that nobody reads. And here's where things get wildly invasive. Infotainment sensors are the digital keylogger for your life. When you plug in your phone to play music or get directions, most modern infotainment systems don't just sync. They copy your contacts, messages, call logs, GPS history, calendar events, music libraries, and photos. Even worse, that data stays in the system after you disconnect. One study found that 4 out of 5 used cars still contain personal information from previous owners, including saved home addresses, contact names, text content, and even nude selfies auto-synced from cloud folders. In 2023, a security researcher retrieved social media messages and photos from an infotainment unit after it had been factory reset. Think of it like this. Your car's console is a USB stick you never knew you were handing to the next driver. Next, we have cabin cameras and microphones. And these are not just for autopilot anymore. They're marketed as eye movements and head tilts, whether you're speaking, whether you're alone. And like we said in the story before, Tesla's internal cameras were recording footage, beaming it back to HQ, and employees shared the clips internally for their own entertainment. And before you ask, no, the footage was not encrypted. And the drivers didn't know that Tesla had it. The cars were simply watching. Now I'm going to give you a second to take a guess about how much data is generated per hour per vehicle. The final snapshot is 25 gigabytes of data per hour per vehicle. That's how much information an average connected car generates. At US driving rates, that's nearly 20 terabytes of data per driver per year. At this point, driving is just feeding a machine with a detailed diary of your life, one that never forgets or deletes, which begs the question, who's pulling the strings on your car's data and what are they doing with it? So your car is bleeding data like a busted fire hydrant. Now ask yourself, where's all of that going and who's profiting? Because spoiler, it's definitely not you. Let's trace the flow of this data and the horrifying number of hands that it passes through. First, we have the automaker, aka the first leak. Every trip you take, every voice command you mumble, every time you brake too hard, that's revenue. Manufacturers like GM, Toyota, Ford, and BMW don't just collect this information for your safety, they monetize it. GM was caught sharing OnStar data with insurance underwriters without any driver consent. Ford and Toyota openly partnered with data brokers to extract insights from connected car telemetry. BMW tested location-based ads on dashboards. Yes, they showed coupons while you were driving. Their in-house team's entire job is to package and sell your movement as a product. Next, we have insurance companies, the friendly face of algorithmic judgment. Have you ever heard of usage-based insurance? Things like Progressive Snapshot or Allstate DriveWise? They sound like tools for safe drivers, but they're actually surveillance discounts in disguise. Once you opt in, insurers track the time of day you drive, how often you brake hard, whether your phone is moving while the car is in motion, route patterns, speed, turns, and even lane changes. If you're bad, they raise your rates. If you don't opt in, you look suspicious and also get charged more. It's a lose-lose design to make surveillance feel like a good idea. Then there's data brokers, the shadowy middlemen ruining the world. Names like Autonomo and Wajo don't mean much to the average driver, but they're central players in the car data economy. They aggregate movement data from tens of millions of cars and sell heat maps of foot traffic for retail developers, driving patterns for hedge fund analysts, patient profiles for advertisers, behavioral scores for financial underwriting. One of these companies boasts access to 50 million vehicles and 4.1 billion data points per day. That's basically every red light you've ever hit up for auction. And there's onboard ice and the backdoor subpoenaing. Here's where things get really bleak. Because of outdated laws, the police don't need a warrant to pull your car's data from manufacturers or brokers. They just need a subpoena or a budget. ICE is used onshore.
They don't need a warrant. All they need is a subpoena.
Our data to track and arrest undocumented immigrants. Police in multiple states have bought location trails from brokers without informing the courts, and surveillance firms now offer services to geolocate any car in the US if you've got the cash. Your car is a snitch with a radio connection. Then we have rental companies and dealerships, the data dumpster fire. If you've ever rented a car, there's a 60% chance you left behind your contacts, GPS history, call logs, and paired phone data. Some rental chains now offer infotainment scrubs, but most won't by default. The same goes with used cars. Over 80% of used vehicles still contain the last owner's private data. That includes garage codes, safe home addresses, and in multiple cases, nudes. Yes, actual personal photos pulled from infotainment backups by curious texts. So why is this worse than you thought? Because it's not just that your data is being seen. It's being scored, sold, packaged, and used against you silently. Your car knows where you go, when you go, how you drive, who you're with, what you listen to, whether you're alone, and it tells everyone except you. But what happens when your car doesn't just watch, but acts on its own? Can your car be stopped remotely without your say? The short answer, yes. And starting in 2026, all new cars in the US will be required to include impaired driving prevention tech. It sounds harmless, right? But here's the real story. The system will be able to stop your car from driving if it thinks you're drunk. The tech is passive, and it'll monitor your driving behavior while you're in motion. And while it's not designed for remote control, the hardware will exist. If that doesn't raise red flags, let's just talk about stolen vehicle slowdown, already active in millions of cars via OnStar. With the right call, your engine speed gets throttled and your vehicle is disabled. It's extremely helpful when it's a thief, a little bit more dystopian when you consider protest suppression, digital curfews, and hackers breaking entire fleets with a malicious update. Once remote kill switch tech is in every car, all it takes is one system being abused or one being hacked, and then no one's driving anywhere. What can you actually do to reclaim privacy behind the wheel? Let's be real. You can't fully unplug a modern car without a crowbar and soldering iron, but you can fight back. It is not as paranoia hygiene, but as tactical resistance. We'll call it drive play mode. Never, and I mean seriously, don't do these things. Don't pair your phone via Bluetooth or USB in rentals or test drive. Even a 5-minute sync can copy your contacts, call logs, and GPS history. Think about like using someone else's laptop and forgetting to log out of your email. Don't text or navigate through the car's console unless you plan to wipe it later. Those voice-to-text commands get logged, indexed, and stored. Sometimes they're retrievable even after factory reset. Don't enroll in Drive Safe and Save insurance programs unless you love being graded like a middle schooler. The discount is baked and the data is forever. It will never work out in your favor. Always be sure to build these into your routine. Always perform a factory reset on your infotainment system before selling or trading in your car. If it doesn't give you the option, ask your dealer to do it and watch them do it. Always scrub paired phones and data from rentals before and after driving. Most cars have a delete all devices option. Use it generously. Always physically cover cabin cameras with black tape or sliding covers. If that's illegal in your state, disable it in the settings and screenshot proof in case it reactivates remotely. And always ask your dealer or service shop what telematics programs are enabled and opt out of them if you can. Most people don't even realize that they can opt out. And here's a list of to-dos. These are some tools that will make it easier. First, download Privacy for Cars. It's the best free tool to guide you through wiping data from specific car models, including rentals. Also, encrypt your phone always. If your car grabs a chunk of it, at least make sure the data is worthless to anyone snooping. And disable Wi-Fi hotspot sharing from your phone when near vehicles. Some infotainment systems will auto-sync over Wi-Fi completely unprompted. But you definitely need to make this mindset shift. If it's connected, it's collecting. Assume that every feature with a screen, mic, or sensor is harvesting your data. And assume that it never forgets unless you forcibly make it forget. That's not theism. That's how you stop handing over evidence with a smile. Your car is talking constantly, but not to you. It's whispering where you were last night, who you called on the way, what route you took when you were angry and needed to clear your head, what playlist you cried to, when you last went to that clinic, and it remembers what you forgot. It timestamps it and it attaches your name. The truth is, your car is the most invasive device in your life, and almost no one realizes it. And this surveillance was slipped in silently. It was normalized through convenience. And even after 15 years in cybersecurity, I was shocked by how bad it really is. This video barely scratches the surface. If you want the full breakdown, the receipts, the architecture, and how to fight back, check out the Cyber Resistance Club. This first heard all the information that would get censored here. Driving used to feel like an escape. Now it's just another data stream. But you don't have to panic. You don't have to ditch your car, but you do need to understand what you're sitting in and who it's reporting to. Because it's not just reporting your destination, it's recording your life. The open road was never supposed to feel like this. But if you're still breathing, still paying attention, you can still take a piece of it back.
All right. So I really like that video. And she did a great job explaining it. And that is Adi Lamar on YouTube. She has about 78,000 subscribers. Absolutely. Let me subscribe to her real quick. I found her looking for videos on this subject. And you know what really shocks me when I look at the information, the data, the reports, that they never, obviously they had the Elantra for Brian Kohberger. There is no way, in my humble opinion, that he was even in the area unless, now let's go there. Let's go there and just speculate for 1 minute. Does anybody else remember what happened that night around Brian Kohberger's apartment complex? Does anybody remember the car crash that was logged by Danny Vargas that said he had a screenshot of Carmen Fernandez and the mugshot? Does anybody remember that whole scenario that happened at 12:36 p.m.? The hit and run, right? The hit and run. Then they show up at her location and they said, it was her. It was her. It was her. Now, I've always felt this a little odd. The very suspicious crash by the apartments. Yeah. Heavenly. Yeah. Okay. So, and then Dylan and Bethany drove away in Maddie's car at 4:20, in your opinion. I've heard about that. Not actually seen it, but in my humble opinion, wasn't the guy named Ethan? What guy named Ethan? That's the guy driving ran away. The guy driving ran away. Yeah, that's what the mysterious car crash. See, here's the deal. The FBI, it's very clear, obviously, if you look at the information out there, standard operating procedure for a lot of these EMDRs, a lot of the EDRs, the recording devices, it is for, and the purpose of, a crash, to be able to pull information from crashes. Okay, but there is a specific reason why the FBI can access event data recorders, but it usually is braking, speeding, critical data for crash. Okay, now when I started researching this, I kept saying, why in the world would they want Maddie and Ethan's information on the vehicles? Were one of them, missing? Well, we know where Maddie was. Maddie allegedly was, and we see her on video with Kaylee. Okay, we see them. And then not only on top of that, we see that Xana is somewhere at 2 a.m., but we don't know where Ethan is. There has still been no clear rectification time for Ethan. There was a rumor that Ethan was in a crash and hid out for a couple of days. Whoa, really? Whoa. The girl was screaming at that guy. In the actual crash, he crashed the car. I can remember, we played it a little while back. He crashed the car. That's what the cop was saying. It is crazy. And this is why I went down this, because I kept thinking the crash happened at the same night the murders. Yeah, right after that. But if Brian Kohberger observed the accident, took pictures, took a mugshot online of the Carmen Fernandez, and then followed the people that got away, where would that have led him to? In the area of Moscow. Maybe. We're speculating here. There was a crash. Yes, there was. She ran over students on that Saturday night. It was right before midnight. So, I'll go and pull up the Carmen Fernandez. I've showed this video before. I love it how we start all thinking together. This is absolutely amazing. And it was said that somebody hit these two students that were Washington on Frat Row in Pullman. Okay. And that crash was November 12th, 2022. And Brian Koberger did see that happening. Now, I've showed you this before. She got no jail time. She got an amazing plea deal, right? Now, the FBI is very, obviously they work together with the NHTSA for crash, but not only that, they also work to get the EC units to see if anybody's hacked a car, like I showed you from the cybersecurity. Okay. Now, I don't know if that was just a rumor. We don't know, but I am going to share this information with you because there was extortion mentioned in the police documents for the warrants. This former WSU student, which I've showed you her pictures, her mother does live in Seattle. Her father lives in Nampa. Her stepmother lives in Nampa, and her stepmother's name is Brittany Fernandez. And that just happened to be the same name of Dylan's new contact that night. And I said, remember, if Brittany reached out to somebody at WSU or knew Carmen, then they basically, hey, maybe I'm going to send a message to her mom to make sure she's okay. And then added Carmen Fernandez, stepmom in Nampa, Idaho, to her list, Brittany Fernandez. That is very possible. Okay, this is all very possible. And it's not a coincidence, folks. Everything leads up to there's more involved in the Idaho 4. There is no way she was missing a shoe too. Now, this video, I can go pull the Carmen Fernandez video, and it was the actual cop cam that we see, and we kind of broke it down. The body cam footage. And let me see who had that. Who was it that had that? There was a creator on here that I think posted this up in Pullman. It was right outside of Frat Row, right? It had to have been. I remember this. Let me see if I've got anything. I played the video before. I didn't bookmark it. Gosh, I can't even remember the creator that had it. So all Drip Drop had it. Somebody else had it. It was at the Grove. Yeah, it was 11:30 p.m. And remember, he screenshot it, and then they said that he left Pullman at 12:36. That was right after this accident. We know that he had a scanner. Danny Vargas put that in her statement. And he was listening and took a picture of this girl that they arrested. After watching Carmen, when police came to her, in my humble opinion, she was not drunk. Well, I don't know what the breathalyzer was. I don't know what they did. That hit and run could have shown Brian leaving and returning. Remember, all the roads were blocked, and they looked for his vehicle, and they said his vehicle left that area at the Grove at 12:36. Okay. In fact, there was a video of a wrecked car in a junkyard or impound that was supposed to be Ethan's. Whoa, Lulu Bell, you really pay attention. Girl, holy moly. I remember seeing that video too. I don't remember who played that video, who did that video. But these little tiny ECU units were requested from Ethan and Maddie's car. Now, I don't know what happened to the other two controllers. I don't think, in my humble opinion, we've never seen anything pulled on this Elantra ECU unit, EDMR, EDR, whatever you want to call them. Everyone calls them something different. Okay, so when you start seeing everything that starts making better sense of what really happened that night, there were a lot of events. I've always said this was a crossroads event. There were 3 or 4 things happening all at the same time. And because somebody may have been curious and actually saw what happened, a witness in this car crash to a girl who basically gets off. I mean, she basically was acquitted, no jail time. She took a plea deal. And that's basically, I mean, I played the audio from there. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail, which is pretty standard for, and then she dropped out of school. All right. So she could only leave her work and residence and doctor's appointments, and she was ordered to pay about $15,000 in restitution from the victims. The video is out there. We reviewed it before. I don't remember where it was. I don't remember where it was at this time. So I wasn't planning on getting into that. But there was an article written in August. Let me pull this up too. Hold on. That was kind of recapping what happened that night that I thought was very interesting, because sometimes you'll get a different perspective from a reporter that has maybe seen the documents that obviously covers this case. So she was charged with vehicular assault while under the influence of alcohol and has been suspended to 9 months to home confinement, 1 year community custody, and to pay $15,000 around in victims' restitution fees. She was accused of hitting 2 people, one a fellow WSU student, and as well as hitting a light pole and a fire hydrant. One of the survivors said he tried to jump out of the way and he was struck, and the other one was thrown onto the hood of the vehicle before it drove off, according to records. Police responded to the Brandy Way to find one victim about 100 yards from where he was struck. Now, you know, somebody asked me on one of my comments, why did it look like Kaylee's car had been crashed in the front? And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I did a little digging. And in fact, I think this car, in my humble opinion, there's no way it looks like it was dented. Now, we know that videos are kind of blurred. We know how bad videos can be. But I did some deep research, and I'm behind, but Carmen video was posted by the WS Police YouTube channel. Okay, let me go and pull that up when we're looking at this. WSU Police YouTube. Carmen. Okay. Let's see if it's up there. Now, watch the full video. Now, I see YouTube Creme 2 News. Let me just see. So this car, I went back to the actual photos of the first release from the documents. And let me grab these real quick, because I wanted to see if her car, in fact, was damaged. And I don't see any damages on this car. If you guys can see the photos now. I don't see any damage on this vehicle. I got the best picture I could see. I don't see any damage on this Range Rover. Now, maybe someone's seeing something different, but on the other side, there was no damage either. Officer Wills. Yeah, Officer Wills. Is that the guy? College Beat, Hill College Beat, whatever. Let me see if I can find this video. Carmen Fernandez. Let me just search by Carmen Fernandez and see if it pulls up. Crime in Courts. I see that one. That is a short video. That was the one I just showed you. Hit 2 dead. That's a different one. Police investigating hit and run. Nope. I wonder why it doesn't pull up as easy as it used to. I wonder if they've changed. Let me take a peek. All I know is that all these teenagers, drinking age or not, seem to be fully drunk or drugged. Okay? In my opinion. I mean, that's the only thing that these schools have in common. A lot of underage kids drinking and doing stuff they probably shouldn't be doing on Saturday nights, in my humble opinion, but that's my opinion. Now, hit and run, College Row, Officer Willis. Okay, let me look at that one. It seems like it's buried now. I'm going to bookmark it. College Beat Hill 1, episode 2. It's not the first time people had been falsely arrested for hit and runs, that's for sure. And then they try to cover it up or divert the individuals that were actually guilty. It's not the first time, folks. Let me. I don't see that. Dang it. It wasn't on College Beat Hill, was it? All right. I don't see it. That's okay. They stopped after. It's gone. Yeah, I had a feeling. Okay, so I don't see any damage. I mean, if you guys see any damage on the Range Rover, the front of the wheel, fender wheel, doesn't look like any damage. It looks like the back, there's a little black spot above the fender wheels. Let me look and see if there's any more good pictures of any of the other vehicles. They don't look like they've been, hit in any way. In my humble opinion, I'm not a crash scene expert, and maybe some of these cars had dents in them before that night, but I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I'm going to go through these fast, guys. Sorry. But I did notice something that nobody talked about on Ethan Chapin's car. And, a lot of people have said that red Jeep wasn't running. It was parked there. I don't know. And if that red Jeep was there parked, then maybe Ethan was borrowing one of the other roommates' cars. That's very possible, right? We're speculating here. So that is a very big possibility. But one thing I did notice on Ethan, on the black car that allegedly was driven by Ethan, is that on the black car, there are handprints, just like on the windows. If you guys see these handprints right here. And I'm not saying that maybe somebody, nefarious touched the back of this car, but I'm seeing handprints on the back of the car. Truth and Transparency had it. Okay. But I'm seeing handprints on the back of this car. There's 4 prints there, and there's a little bit of a palm there. I don't know who would touch the vehicle, but obviously the vehicle was kind of dirty. I don't see any damage to the vehicles. And so someone said it looked like Kaylee's car had been hit. And in fact, it doesn't really even look like the car had been hit, in my humble opinion. So that's why we were looking at the vehicles real quick. And I didn't see any damage. And if the car had been parked there a while, then that's why the leaves have accumulated on this Jeep. And maybe the Jeep wasn't running. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. And there was the Chevy Cruze. They got the ECU model out of this. Doesn't look damaged. It probably looks like that car's been parked there a little while too, because the snow is on top of it compared to a car that had been driven. There is no accumulation of snow on this vehicle either. So why did the FBI need their locations, need their data on these vehicles? And I started thinking, lock down the timing, rule out any other scenario to see if the car was last actively being driven. I mean, if anything, that Ford we know could have been moved or driven. And that would certainly help narrow down a timeline, such as Lulu Bell said. It's like Lulu Bell is reading my freaking mind, you guys. It's been scrubbed. Why? I don't know if it's been scrubbed. I just can't find it. I've got an old video of it, and we've talked about it on the stream before. So if you guys want to review that, it's in my live repository. I'm not scrubbing it. I'm not scrubbing anything. I now see that the Jeep was parked back. It could have been removal BWC videos. Yeah, they towed it. They had to tow it. So obviously all the cars got towed. Now, when you start thinking about, they probably needed it to cross-check other evidence, and then they layer it, obviously, with phone data. They could have done that with Koberger's, but we don't know. They never spell it out for us in any of the evidence or the reports that they pulled or shared, right? So there's nothing of that. And when you start looking at the bigger picture of what this whole crime was about, some other things just don't make sense. Was there a witness timeline? If Brian did get into his car and go and follow someone, is it possible that he followed Ethan? If Ethan, speculation of course, was involved, because no one knew where Ethan was, allegedly, they were trying to find where Ethan and Xana were. We found out that Xana at 2 p.m. was somewhere else, but where was Ethan? Ethan was still unaccounted for, people. I hope you guys all hear what I'm putting down, because this is important. Okay? This is important. They were trying to check timelines. Now, if Brian saw this accident, then he knew that they arrested this girl, Carmen. And if he was a witness, or he heard something, or he went to the scene of the crime and said, hey, what's going on? And a firsthand witness told him, hey, some dude smashed into this car. This girl hit these two people, and this guy fled. What kind of car did Carmen have? What kind of car was Carmen driving that night? Well, now that the video's been scrubbed, hardly anybody even knows what kind of car that she was driving, right? Wasn't it an Elantra? Was it, or was that just a rumor? Wasn't it a white Elantra? I often wonder if these two cases were truly related, which they have tried to hide. But why didn't the real cops do their job? A blue SUV. I thought it was an SUV. An SUV. Okay. So she drove an SUV, or was it the SUV that took off? I thought an SUV swerved into her. She swerved and hit the two that were walking. Whoever was driving the Carmen's car. I don't know if it was a green Elantra. See, now here's the problem. The cops described, yes, they did, the SUV with damage. They described the SUV with damage. Could these two incidents be one? Could this be one? All right. The SUV hit the fire hydrant, then the people, and then the pole. Well, then how did her car get involved? How did Carmen Fernandez's car get involved? If the SUV hit the hydrant, then the people, how did that make sense? Her sister had taken the truck and did the hit and run. Now, I remember her sister borrowing her car. I remember her sister borrowing her car. So I'm going to go and do a deep dive. I'm going to go back to my own video because the police were stating exactly what they were saying. I don't have it word for word. I'll go take notes, better notes, apparently, since we've watched that video and it's been scrubbed. Her sister didn't even bother to leave her keys. Wow. I thought it was a small SUV. Okay, so we'll dig into the background of this. We'll dig into the background of the crash as much as we can. But allegedly, Kaylee's car was not in the accident that night. So that debunks somebody that was saying it looks like her car had been crashed. Her car was not crashed. So in regards to the FBI timeline, here's the reality check. In this case, like this, there may be little or no useful EDR data at all that was in the pool because it was not related to a crash that we know of. There's no airbag deployment that we know of because we never got to see the inside of some of these cars. There's no major driving event that we know of, which means the EDR might simply confirm nothing happened with the car. So that would rule out any rumors of Ethan being part of this whole crash. And that's what we're here to try to debunk some of these rumors. It's very simple. If X and Y equals Z, or 1 and 2 equals 3, and they're not a part of it, then you take them out of the equation. So we're not looking for rumors. We're not looking at the headlines. We're not doing the assumptions. We're going inside the machine of the car, because somewhere along the way, people started believing something that sounds logical. This cars that were, taken, the ECU, the EDR knew everything, where it went, what it did, when it got there. But what if I told you that isn't even true? We looked at the videos. We broke down what an EDR is. We looked at perhaps cyber hacking vehicles. And that's exactly the FBI was talking about, people who actually can cyber hack vehicles. Is this true? Can the government hack data? Can they hack phones and tablets and cars? Can the government do that while surveillancing individuals?
Detail about how the government was trying to hack phones, trying to hack tablets, even smart TVs. But now when you dig deeper into the document, buried way deep in there, is about how the government was also looking into hacking vehicles. But it turns out hackers have already been doing it. There's a gadget out there right now that allows people to use a little remote control and get into your car undetected, even start your engine. And that's not all. There are a couple of hackers who've even been able to take over a car remotely while it's driving down the highway. It's all caught on video this morning. The powerful demonstrations you need to see before you head out today. As this SUV drives down the highway, these two hackers are pulling off the unthinkable.
No matter what happens, don't panic.
Taking control of it wirelessly, even turning the wheel. Other hackers opening car doors with ease using this little gadget. Now, WikiLeaks claims the government was working on hacking cars too. The CIA was looking at infecting the vehicle control system used by modern cars and trucks. The purpose of such control is not specified. The new leaked documents, quoting a meeting of the CIA, potential mission areas include vehicle systems. But hackers have already done it. Wired magazine first exposing the danger in 2015.
So first we're going to turn the fan on them.
The driver of this Jeep Cherokee losing control.
Something just turned on all the fans and AC and stuff. I didn't do that.
These two hackers say they're controlling the car remotely, turning on the windshield wipers, turning on the radio.
The air conditioning is blasting, the music is blasting, and I can't see anything because of the windshield wiper fluid.
The hackers even controlling the steering, then going even further.
Kill the engine.
So we're killing the engine right now.
Actually, can't accelerate. It says 43 miles an hour, but I'm not going that fast.
Responding to that video, the maker of Jeep telling NBC News it's committed to the safety and security of our vehicles. We continue to take proactive steps to address cyber risks, adding the vulnerability discovered by those hackers has been eliminated. Jason Tanz, your Wired site director. Watching that video was frightening for me as a driver, and I'm sure a lot of people watching right now. How vulnerable are we?
Well, it is frightening because if these guys are doing it, you have to assume that other people are too. And one of the things we learned from the WikiLeaks dump was that, in fact, the CIA is looking into ways of doing this as well. So I think it's probably safe to assume that we're pretty vulnerable.
You are even vulnerable when you're away from your car. Hackers now cloning wireless key fobs remotely. I tried it out in December. The door is completely locked, but when I hold this up to the door, look, I open the door right up, and that's not all. With this device, watch this. Yes, I just started the car. So now I'm a thief in your car, driving away within seconds, all because of this little device. It's terrifying how fast this is. Wow. And it's not just this car. Experts using the device on car after car after car, breaking into and even starting 17. The Alliance of Automobile Manufacturers told NBC News protecting vehicle access and security continue to be top priorities, and automakers have been working on multiple fronts to address security and enhance it. Bottom line, what's the takeaway here?
Well, as we get more and more internet-connected devices in our houses, smart cars, smart refrigerators, smart washing machines, we have to assume that every one of those things is going to be vulnerable to hackers.
Here's the thing, hackers are smart and they are fast at coming up with new ways to control our stuff. The car companies are really trying their best to keep up. So here's the takeaway for you. If your car is connected to the internet wirelessly and you get a software update from the car company, from your washing machine company, anything connected to the internet, and you authenticate the software upgrade is from the company, guys, you want to download that update immediately before you hit the road because it could contain some important hack fixes.
All right, good information, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Hello, Today fans. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking that button down there.
All right. Sorry, guys. I hit the wrong button. So when you start thinking about what in the world was going on in Moscow Pullman between these two colleges? Now, I know that this is a very, very long shot here. And you guys may not agree with me, and I'm okay with that because some of the things that I talk about, it always comes around in full circle. Oh my God, this is wild. Yes, this is wild that hackers can hack cars. But what's even more wild is that the three-letter agencies that are very concentrated in this area of Moscow Pullman with all the predictive studies that they do, and with Brian's cybersecurity background, he was into crime, cyber crime, and all these other things, and you start thinking a bigger picture is how in the world, and if they were doing any other studies out there in this area, were they doing any other studies? What was Idaho 4 really about? And yes, I seen that. Now, there are so many different rabbit holes we can go down with this, but in my humble opinion, 1122 King Road was a much bigger operation. And I'll give you more as I find more, but there is just more to this than meets the eye. I've got a whole stream lined up for you tomorrow on Bethany, but real quick, I want to go over a video that people are talking about and keep messaging me about. I want you guys to listen to this video that I made a couple weeks ago. Some of you got it, and some of you keep asking me, what was he really saying? Let's get into it for just a few minutes. It's on the YT. I've shared it here, and I'll share it again.
Open the door to Xana's room.
Now, Steve G is talking to Ashley Banfield, and I want you to really listen to what Steve says, and we're going to break it down step by step so everyone is aware of what he's saying. She's asking him,
did
Hunter Johnson
tell you that he was able to open the door to Xana's room and witness?
He was being questioned what Hunter Johnson told him. Now, this is hearsay. This is not Hunter Johnson here saying it.
Did Hunter tell you that he was able to open the door to Xana's room and witness Xana and Ethan in there?
He told me that he went to the door and he was trying to go through that door and he was trying to figure out what was going on in there.
Did you all hear that? Hunter told Steve he was trying to go through the door, okay?
His room and witness Xana and Ethan in there?
He told me that he went to the door and he was trying to go through that door, and he was trying to figure out what was going on in there. It's kind of like what you're hearing with that audio.
Okay, so Hunter has told Steve that Hunter was trying to go through that door. Something was going on in Ethan and Xana's room. Okay?
He announced himself.
You have to listen to the video. He says 2:15. He says it very clearly.
He said, "Hey, I'm here."
Hunter said, "Hey, I'm here.
What's going on?"
What's going on? Kind of sounds like Dylan saying, "Hey, someone's here."
But they didn't respond, and he went in there. He seen something, and I think around 2:15, you hear when somebody truly sees something. Like, you got to remember, there's blankets, there's covers, there's the bed. So this person, they could have totally been covered up to where you just flip that blanket over, and then all of a sudden you understand the impact of what really happened. They're not sleeping anymore. It is what it is, and you hear kind of like a roar, like a painful roar, and I think that's what was going on. But that's
a painful roar.
Just me. That's just my interpretation of the same call that you guys are analyzing. I talked to Hunter directly, and it sucks. He had a broken soul. This is a man who's seen his best friend dead.
All right. I'm going to listen to it without stopping it. It's going to hit different, guys. This changes a lot.
Did Hunter tell you that he was able to open the door to Xana's room and witness Xana and Ethan in there?
He told me that he went to the door, and he was trying to go through that door, and he was trying to figure out what was going on in there. It's kind of like what you're hearing with that audio. He announced himself. He said, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?" But they didn't respond, and he went in there. He seen something, and I think around 2:15, you hear when somebody truly sees something. Like, you got to remember, there's blankets, there's covers, there's the bed. So this person, they could have totally been covered up to where you just flip that blanket over, and then all of a sudden you understand the impact of what really happened. They're not sleeping anymore. It is what it is, and you hear kind of like a roar, like a painful roar, and I think that's what was going on. But that's just me. That's just my interpretation of the same call that you guys are analyzing.
So, according to me, I heard Steve say Hunter tried to go inside the door. Something was going on in there. Hunter got in there, and he didn't mention anything about Xana being on the floor at this time at 2:15. No mention of Xana. Hunter goes in there. There were covers on Ethan. Ethan takes the covers off. Hunter takes the covers off of Ethan and sees what happened. Okay? At the time that Hunter sounded like he was trying to get inside the room to see what was going on in there, there was no Xana in the picture. That's what I understand. Now, we'll play it again. I don't know when Xana got there, but let's listen. I don't think that Xana was there at this time.
Did Hunter tell you that he was able to open the...
Because remember, Xana at 2 a.m. was somewhere else. I don't know what time that this is alleging that they found Ethan.
Did Hunter tell you that he was able to open the door to Xana's room and witness Xana and Ethan in there?
He told me that he went to the door, and he was trying to go through that door, and he was trying to figure out what was going on in there. It's kind of like what you're hearing with that audio. He announced himself. He said, "Hey, I'm here. What's going on?" But they didn't respond, and he went in there. He seen something, and I think around 2:15, you hear when somebody truly sees something. Like, You got to remember, there's blankets, there's covers, there's the bed. So this person, they could have totally been covered up to where you just flip that blanket over and then all of a sudden you understand the impact of what really happened. They're not sleeping anymore. It is what it is. And you hear kind of like a roar, like a painful roar. And I think that's what was going on. But that's just me. That's just my interpretation of the same call that you guys are analyzing. I talked to Hunter
Okay, so he's talking about the 911 call
directly, and it sucks. He had a broken soul. This is a man who's seen his best friend dead.
Okay, and here is the key point. 2:15. I looked at Jules' FOIA release, all the videos that she's done for 2:15. I have not seen the 2:15 audio or the 1112 video. And I'm looking again right now for 2:15. The only one that I remember knowing that is out there is the Linda Lane. And I don't even know if the Linda Lane, we don't even know who released that. That's not even under FOIA. Is it even real? Is it true? We don't know. We don't know if any of this audio is factual and real and authentic. Although the police department does reference it in the PCA and in a couple of exhibits from the state, they were planning to use some type of audio, some type of footage to prove Brian Koberger was there. I still don't see anything for the 2:15 except for the Linda Lane audio, and that is the back of the carport. So at 2:15, does anybody remember what happens? And we can go to the Linda Lane archives. God, I've probably visited this site a million times. And we can go look at what it says for 2:15 in the morning. There is still missing footage between these time frames. And it's all broken up. It's all broken up because between 2 and 3:30 at least, it is still missing, except for this 1330 Linda Lane audio that I'm going to share, and we're going to review it. And we'll go at about 2:15. I went too far. Now, I don't know if we can hear anything. Correct. 2:15 has no audio. And I'll whisper if you guys have headphones in. You hear somebody walking. Yeah, you can hear it. That's what's going on at this time. Hunter! There's that car. There's something going on in the background. You could hear a lot of talking going on. Some loud music in the background. There's still stuff going on. So there's plenty of stuff going on at this time frame in this audio. But here's the call. If there is a creator out there between 2 and 2:35-ish, I've got headphones on and I have it turned up to 100, guys. I could definitely hear a lot going on in the background, a lot of people yelling, a lot of people talking. And it's kind of hard to hear if you don't have earphones. But I encourage everyone to go to the Linda Lane archives. I have saved this footage just in case this is the next one to disappear. But I want you guys to go through. If you guys know any creators, go and tag them on this video. And this video is at the Linda Lane archives. Okay, it's between 2 and 3 a.m. Download that video, definitely save it, and ask another creator that is really great in sound, deleting some of the muffled sounds. It sounds like somebody is standing outside this camera, heavy breathing. You tried it with earbuds on. I've got these, what are these? Sony something. They're pretty expensive and they're good. I can hear really well, and you can do ambient noise, reduce the noise, and all this great stuff. So if you know of a good creator, go out there and tag them. There is a lot of stuff in here, guys. If you go look at the comments, we'll scroll through them real quick. At 2:21:40, a woman screams, trying to say something like warning, and a gruff male voice sounds authoritative, deep voice. She's telling the woman to be quiet, like they're being held hostage. I can also be heard on the camera facing dumpster at the house at 2:21 on camera. Timestamps are off 8 seconds. There's some other ones. I hear it's a knife. 2:10 timestamp, run, he's got a knife. And going back and listening to after this, there is distant screams, a guy screaming, a gunshot may be heard at 2:41. And 2:10, the dog just barked. Distant female cry in the background at 2:11. Faint screams at 2:11, 2:15, more prominent screams at 2:27, 2:40 onward. This is the actual video that people hear, this scream at 2:27. But a lot of people can hear clearly. I think maybe they're closer or the video's been turned up. sounds like someone's standing outside there. People are moving around. I know the camera gets blurry or something else is going on. I swear somebody's standing there and they're breathing heavy, like they're watching or listening to what's going on. Okay, on the top of the sun, you can see people standing there and moving around. Yeah, I was looking at the back of the window or the reflection on the back of this car. It does sound like somebody is standing there on the little ledge. Somebody ran around there taking pictures for me. So it's a little entrance, a little step, and then it's a door, and you go in the backside of this. So here's the oddest thing in the case for me. The car's data, and the last one I'll leave you with is freaking, I would love for someone to explain this to me. And I know that there's people out there saying, oh my God, yada, 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 Phoenix this and Phoenix that. There's a lot that doesn't make sense to a lot of people when they read these documents, folks. But one thing I will say, I've always said, go and research the documents, read it for yourself. I think a lot of people have helped me understand a lot of things that didn't make sense. But the one thing that never made sense to me, in my humble opinion, is the autopsy reports. Yes, they say that Kaylee went first. They said that Kaylee went first. And if Kaylee went first and was placed on top of Madison, why does that sound like that's not possible? We were always told, until the autopsy came out, that Maddie was first. People got tattoos. People got tattoos with MKXE. Folks, I'm not making this up. MKXE. I know you've seen these tattoos before. It's wild. So if Kaylee was in fact first, how is it that she was placed on top of Maddie? If Kaylee was first, according to the autopsy, according to the experts, how was she placed, or why was she placed on top of Maddie? That will never make sense. No? I think they meant Kaylee was the first autopsy. No, Kaylee was the second autopsy, according to the report. She's labeled number 2. I don't know why they labeled it that way. They argued back and forth. The autopsy was very clear that Kaylee was second one to be autopsied, but yet the first one in the report to say that Kaylee went first. 2, third person was Maddie, 4th person was Xana, and the 5th victim was Ethan. So Ethan was last to pass. And how is that? I mean, if you read the whole report, clearly the expert said that Kaylee was the first to pass. They do a whole analysis what time they all pass. I don't know. It's so odd. I mean, who would place Kaylee on top of Maddie? Never made sense to me. And it never made sense that none of the blood ever fell down below their waist. That's what we've been told, and that's what we've been told in this autopsy report, that there was none. And all the transfer stains of their blood outside of the room, they said that Kaylee and Maddie never left that room. Kaylee and Maddie never left the room. Ethan never left the room. There's no proof, physical proof, that they ever left those rooms, but yet the transfer stains are all down the stairs. There's no proof. Once Kaylee was in Maddie's room, it says in the autopsy there is no physical proof that she ever stood up. So there is no freaking way, Dylan, that it was Kaylee that ran down the stairs. No freaking way. There's no way. No way. These are experts telling us how these individuals passed. There's no way Kaylee could have left her own blood on the ping pong table. There's no way that Kaylee could have left the stains in the house on these walls. There's no way she stood up after she was attacked in the freaking room right here. There is no physical evidence to indicate Kaylee or Maddie was in this location after sustaining their bloodletting injuries. That means the bloodletting injuries were all up in the room. There is no physical evidence to indicate they were in these locations after their injuries. No way. It had to have been the killer. Shaking the weapon, throwing it on the table, doing something, changing clothes. That's all very speculative. It is very possible. And then there was no physical evidence to indicate that Maddie, Kaylee, Xana, or Chapin were even in the locations after sustaining their bloodletting injuries. That was all the perp or perps. That has never made sense. And that one little piece outside of the bathroom was negative. The blood was negative near the bathroom doorway. No evidence that they even stood up after they were unalived while laying down. I don't believe, Dylan, and I have that right and authority based on my own free will and my humble thought process, don't believe Bethany at all. Tomorrow I'll have a story on Bethany for you, based on facts, documents, testimony, and court evidence. Y'all, be well. Make sure you like and subscribe. I appreciate all my mods being here. I appreciate you guys being so responsible in the chat. I am glad that we draw the right people to our channel. 100%. Let me look in through the comments before I go. Kaylee did leave the room. Kaylee could have ran downstairs and was locked out. She could have, but there's no physical way she could have ran down after she was injured. That's the point. So she ran downstairs and the killer killed her first and later on top of Maddie, who was still alive. Possible. It is all very possible. Kathy Maybutt can be considered an expert. Well, she can be an expert according to her job title. Absolutely. Someone with Kaylee's blood could have made them stains, and the stains do not prove they were from Kaylee. Just, yes, absolutely. Could have changed their clothes, could have thrown clothes in the wet dryer. I've never seen the results from the clothes that were in the dryer or the washer. Never have seen that. Never have seen that at all. Who's muting? I don't think anybody's muting the chats. My mods know better. In reality, they should have been able to say it's from other Vic's bloods being, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep, I've seen that before. He didn't have all the documents. He didn't read everything. So it's really hard to determine. Those were all transfer stains. transfer stains. So, I mean, a lot of this is redacted. We're doing the best we can reading through these. I still don't see evidence at all about Brian Kohberger being guilty. If anybody comes across any gut-wrenching documentation that says he's 100% guilty, please, please, please send it to me. I appreciate all of you. Have a great evening. Enjoy your families. Until tomorrow, I will be live after 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I do have plans to take spring break off for a few days, but I do want to let you know I will be live tomorrow at 4 p.m. and this is going to be a live you will never forget. See you at 4 p.m. tomorrow. Be well, everyone.
The file was cold. The leads long dead. Winter's chill had settled. Another name unsaid. A silent statue, blind and made of stone. But thawing ground gives way to sleeping roots. A whispered tip, a forgotten clue. Dusting off the long forgotten suits. A single thread through the spring equinox brings the scales to bear. Justice marches, truth takes to the air. From frozen silence, a triumphant sound. The verdict's written on the waking ground. The witness stand, a garden newly tilled. Each memory a seed now forced to grow. The web of lies so carefully distilled begins to fray, the hidden colors show. The spring equinox brings the scales to bear. Justice marches, truth takes to the air. From frozen silence, a triumphant sound. The verdict's written on the waking ground. The blindfold lifts, the sword is raised, no shadow.